I suspect we're going to have another quiet day here today, Tianan.
I'm okay with that. There's nothing
I'm st
wrong with quiet days.
I'm still operating on summer schedules, so I'm distracted by a lot of stuff these days. I'll be
I love the
distracted.
way that you said that. I'm distracted by a lot of stuff these days, as if that's just not just your default state.
There are times when I have more time to do OCI stuff and can kind of sit down and focus a little more. This is not
Yeah,
one of those times.
that's fair.
The
But the
weather
OCI
is,
stuff is a distraction from something else, right?
I mean, the weather is nice, so I'm trying to get out a lot. And then this is also, we're getting ready to host the KCDDC conference in next week. No, week after next. Next week, we've got a local election going on. I do election officer stuff, so everything at once. So I only put one item on the agenda. If folks have other things you'd like to chat about, now is a good chance. Throw those things in. Thanks, Tina. It sounds more big and official and just sitting around saying, put your ballot in the slot.
Yes, yes, that slot over there. Yep, the one, it's right there. Yep, put it in.
The one with the arrow on it. Although our machines, they've got two slots, and it would be nice if they just put the arrow on the one slot they're supposed to use.
Why did they
Because
have two slots?
the second slot is for people that have any kind of disability and they do a ballot marking device, and so it puts out this little narrow machine generated ballot that you can verify. And
Oh,
so if you do those go in the narrow slot. But when
but
people walk up to the thing, they're like, "There's an arrow there. There's an arrow there. This thing doesn't fit in that other one." They get confused
why would they not just go in the same slot?
because the machine generated ones are like this narrow versus a full sheet.
They don't want to lose any
They had to be different.
there. But they've got to assume that some of those narrow ones are going in the big slot, right?
That I don't know. Good question.
They would have to.
Hopefully they've tested that. I should have done that when I did the training.
This is
Just
like when you design a money sorter and they do that clever little mechanical trick where they make sure that the slot is only big enough for the coins and they put them in successive order so that all the coins go in the correct slots. Except you can't do that with ballots that are handed in by people because they're not
well,
like coins. They don't just roll.
they're not only handed in by people, we don't touch them.
Yeah.
They're the ones that do the whole process on their side. We're just supposed to stand aside and let them do it.
And you're not supposed to touch them.
If we do, there's a process.
Yeah. That's wild.
All right. Um, so yeah, given that kind of distraction that we're able to go off on that kind of tangent today, don't have a lot to chat about. I did put the one new item over on image spec. Let me get my screen to share so that I can see. It always reminds me how small my other screen is when I do that. So looking for any black window so I'm not getting blinded. There we go. So yeah, the request over here from someone was saying, "Hey, open containers image spec, can we get an annotation for security stuff?" And they were pointing out they've got the whole security text project, which defines individual fields and whatnot. And so they wanted to have us come up with, I know they got a list of fields, but well, the list of fields is probably over in this. Yeah, field definition. So they've got acknowledgements, the canonical, contact, encryption, expires, hiring policy, all these different fields. And I think they wanted to see that put into contact encryption, all these things. They want to see an annotation for each. My response to that was, why don't we just have one thing that just points to a URL of wherever you got this stuff? They seemed okay with that. Wanted to run it by the team here, see if that looked PR worthy, if there were any concerns, complaints, alternative ideas.
I'm not super familiar with security.txt, but at a first glance, it looks very website specific. And in fact, was designed for being a security document for websites.
It
You
was designed to be
well-known
posted in the
URL.
well-known prefix, so yeah. Um, but the content they have in there, especially a contact name and some of the other things like an encryption key if you want to send them secure PGP stuff, maybe some policy. I don't know if we want to say that it needs to point to something with this RFC. If we point to this as an example and that they can point to any security policy of the project. There's a pro and a con to that. And if you say that it's going to be in the exact security text format, that means someone could put an automatic parser on it. But you know people are going to misuse it.
Yeah, I would personally prefer more of a free form security annotation that if someone wants to put in a full security policy, I guess that's fine, but a little bit insane. But if they don't want to follow some online standard or don't have somewhere to point, being able to say, hey, for security issues, email this email address or something would be fairly reasonable. But also, I guess a challenge of that is that the image is immutable. And the security, like the image is immutable, so it cannot be updated.
Yeah.
This was one of my problems with the whole like end of life discussion about images and adding annotations for that is that that image will never be updated by definition. It's designed to be immutable. It will never change.
Yeah. Won't ever change. But then again, looking at some of our stuff here, we've got contact details for the people responsible for the image,
Yeah,
URLs, documentation, some of these things like
I
if it
see
does
contact
change, your image
details.
is now pointing to dead stuff. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, it's fine. I think we're saying the same things. Um, like it's most of this is essentially documenting provenance details of the image, like who created this image, when was it created, where can I go to learn more about this image that doesn't necessarily change over time. Like it could, but you could have a documentation URL that is for this image and is always accurate for this image. That is possible.
But just as you have a documentation URL, couldn't you also have a security URL where that would be a well-known persistent? Here's our security policy. Look over here.
Yes, the security policy is more likely to change over time. That's what makes me nervous. And the fact that you would never update an image in response to a security report, you would publish a new image.
So the policy might change, but if it's a URL, would the URL change?
I don't know. But would the new policy apply to the old image? I guess it's the same as an issue tracker. They'll just say, nope, that image is too old. You should upgrade and try again.
It hit end of life,
Fair.
but we couldn't put that in the image because it's immutable.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. A free form field with strong recommendation that it be like a URL or something sounds better to me. Sounds less restrictive, but six of one, half a dozen of another.
Today we say URL, documentation, source, a bunch of these fields, we specify they are URLs.
Yeah. But like description down at the bottom is not a URL.
Yeah, there are other fields definitely aren't.
And it doesn't say like what the intended consumption of that description is. Should this be just like a short blurb? Or should I put the entire 25,000 character Docker Hub image description in here?
At some point, someone's going to cut you off on the manifest size limit.
Yeah, manifest size limit though is more generous than Docker Hub's image description limit by a large margin, a very large margin.
We're only talking about the one annotation. Someone will add another one later on, and then another.
Yeah.
So phrasing wise, I'm just trying to think of how to phrase this to make everybody happy. Um, should we put in here that it's going to be org open containers image dot security, that it is the project security policy, or preferably a URL that points to the project security policy with an example of the security.txt link. And then we're free form, but we're trying to like nudge people in a certain direction. I see Ram mentioning the refer artifact. If we did that, then I would say the security.txt would be interesting. We need to get a media type for that.
I think Rob's second point is very compelling. That maybe we shouldn't add any more org.opencontainers annotations.
So I was looking at it from the other side of maybe when we add it, we put it in there with such a specific spec that people can automate some tooling around it.
So at least in my mind, I think we need some language or some guidance on how these annotations have to be used, at least the existing ones. And my concern here is we are going down the path of introducing standards where we have no business getting involved with. So that's my concern, because the security requirements that are coming in are specific to what are the use cases. And I don't think from where we stand, we can sort of standardize any of this.
So right now we've got, if you want to document your license, that you should use one of these SPDX license expressions. And so that's trying to say, let's make this something that can be easily parsed. And my impression from the request is they're saying, hey, can we have something that points over to the security.txt project over here? And if we said it's a URL that points over to this, I could see some easy tooling in there that all you're doing is pointing to a file that says, here's my contact details. It's not trying to say, here is the security policy for the image. We're not dictating how people are managing their image or anything. We're just saying, if you want to define a security policy, put this URL in there, put this content in there, and people can expect to find, here's my contact name. Here's how you use a PGP key. Here's when it expires. And we leave all the specification to an already existing RFC that we're not touching. I see you coming off mute, Rob, but I'm not hearing you. You're in deep thought.
Yeah, my deep thought, yes. And it's still thinking.
Okay. I mean, a nice thing if we put some kind of standard behind it is people that write registries could just have a little link next to the image of, hey, if you see a security thing, click this thing, and it's a link that takes you right to the security policy. And you can put that link right in there because you know this field is always going to be a URL. And if it doesn't parse be a URL, you just don't give them that link. All right, I'm letting us go quiet for long enough, I think. Give it some thought. I can put together a PR, and I feel like the direction I want to go is to try to say the example is to follow this, and then just make it a URL. If someone throws the full policy in there, we can't stop them, but our guidance is that it should be a URL.
See, the question is what the scope of the security is, right? So is it going to include the SBOM? Is it going to include other things? So on and so
So
forth.
the security text that they reference is just, here's our contact information. If you've got a security thing to report, send it over here. Here's a key. You know, they've got a link to their overall policy, some other details in there. A real simple file of just when you find a bug, a security bug in an image, you now have somewhere to talk to.
And what if I have a bug and not a security bug? Is that going to be a different annotation?
I would say at that point, you go back to the rest of the project and see
Yeah,
if
so
they've got something that points over to their source. And so if they've got a source URL.
So why is this different?
Security people like to have their own little pointers to things.
This is a okay. I have questions. So
As someone that recently tried to find where to report a security issue directly on GitHub, it was a challenge because if you go to GitHub and say, where's the contact for security? Everything in there points over to, here's how you set up your repo with security notifications. It's like, no, that's not what I want. I wanted a contact. Everything just circularizes and redirects to how you configure your repository for security reports. It's nice if there's just a well-known, here's how you find it, here's how you report it. All right, I'll leave that one open for a bit. Let folks stew on it for a little bit longer. Add comments, disagreements, agreements, whatever. And we can go from there. Otherwise, like I say, we got very minimal agenda this week. Jory, how was it in Open Source Summit and the Container Plumbing Days?
I knew you were going to
I
ask
wore my
while I was
shirt.
eating my strawberries. You wore your shirt? Oh, yay! We did not have shirts this time. We did not budget for shirts. So I was really pretty happy with the turnout. All things considered, we had about 60 people registered. We were at the end of the day on Thursday, so it was going to be a stretch to get all of those people to stay the full time. We had about 30, so 50% turnout actually arrived, and that was great. And we had a full agenda. So we got the talks recorded. I'm hoping to find out later today when those might be made available for us to, put up on YouTube and share with the broader community. But a lot of people liked the format. And I met some new folks and invited them to our Slack. It's good. It's overall good. Good experience. And related also, I ran into Phil Estes, who's on our trademark board, and we are gonna try and get the trademark board together for a meeting, which hasn't happened. We typically will conduct business via email, and so I was like, guys, it's been like a year since we've met. We should do that, And Tianan also reminded me, like, we should have a meeting, like once a year, probably. So we're gonna try and get that together soon.
We were just aggressively adhering to this meeting could have been an email.
I do respect that and appreciate that so much. I really, really do. But it's also healthy, maybe once a year, to have a meeting.
Was Phil over in the EU or just catching
I
up with
think
him on?
he was there. Yeah, he was live and in the flesh at Open Source Summit. And some folks from SAP and Red Hat were there. That I met. I'm trying to think who else. Some SUSE people. Docker, there was a Docker person there, but not Sebastian. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it. Thank you, Tianan, for introducing me to your colleague. Yeah, it was good time. You all were missed.
I think Phil's regular schedule conflicts with this meeting a lot, and so every once in a while he shows up, and it's a pleasant surprise to see him. It's a rare day he gets to attend.
I do think he misses us. Not gonna lie.
We miss him. He's one of my fellow Virginians, so it's
Oh,
nice to have locals show up.
I did not know that.
Back when the Docker captains were like a half dozen people all in Virginia, North Carolina area, Phil was in that collection. Cool. Thanks for that update. And yeah, other than that, I just have a couple things sitting around for review, but I don't think anybody here can review them. Sorry, I saw someone else jumping off mute there.
I don't know. I think I was just gonna, I don't know what I was gonna say. Something quippy.
Quippy's good. I always like Quippy. All right, last call for other thoughts for today. Otherwise, we can do another early wrap up like we've been doing lately. I think everybody here really likes 30-minute meetings. All right, going once, going twice. Sold. Meeting adjourned. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. And
Thank
we'll
you,
circle back here next week.
Brandon. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Jory.